What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, and welcome, everybody, to the Huddle Hub Podcast. My name is Metal Mike, and yes, we're starting a little late, having some technical difficulties. As you see from the start here, we got a thunderstorm going on outside right now, and it is crazy. Electricity flickering on and off, whole bunch of stuff going on. But if you know me, when it comes to shows, I try my best not to miss them. I try my best to be here for you guys every Sunday, whether it's in the morning, whether it's in the afternoon, the show. I try and make sure it goes on. And that's that. As we build the channel here on the Huddle Hub Podcast. Now, yeah, you can hear your football news and everything from other podcasts and professional shows. I mean, we do our best to be as professional as we can here. But I feel like as we're building this brand of the Huddle Hub Podcast, that we can build a pretty big fan base as time goes on. And give you guys a different variety on how you get your football news opposed to other people. And make it as enjoyable as can be. Now, today's show, yes, we're late. Again, because we have inclement weather. The electricity here has been kind of flickery, on and off. The storms are heavy. You're probably going to hear it. Probably going to, because the thunder has been pretty loud. You may even see some flashes of lightning because there's a window right behind me here. And the internet stability right now is a little because I'm already getting a warning sign on my computer that the internet stability is kind of off. But I'm keeping an eye on that as well for myself. But I could not bring you guys this show today. Number one, because it was Father's Day last weekend. Happy Father's Day. Late Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And I decided I'm going to take some time to myself and relax and kind of recharge my batteries. But I just couldn't not give you guys a show today. Late or not. Now, if the show seems a little fast today, again, because I'm fighting keeping electricity going here and the internet and everything. But I had to go live. And then as I'm going live, technical difficulties. My camera's acting up, not focusing. I had to fix that problem. Sound problems are happening. But we're going to make it through today. We are going to make it through today. So as we get through today, I want to ask you guys to head over to all of the Huddle Hub podcast social medias on X, YouTube, and TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod. Would definitely appreciate you all to go follow X and TikTok. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube and check out all the great content we're putting out there for you guys as we build the Huddle Hub podcast. And you can check out all past episodes, full episodes over on the YouTube channel at the Huddle Hub Pod. If you'd like to, would definitely appreciate it as we build the brand here going into the 2025 NFL season and beyond. Make sure you're hitting that follow button here on Twitch as well. And if you need the links to all the other socials, they are down below in the profile. You just you'll see all the logos. You click on it, it takes you right to the link, and you just hit that follow button. It's as simple as that. Again, I apologize if this show is a little fast moving because of me battling the inclement weather and, just trying to make sure I give you guys a good show today. And I apologize if this show is not up to standard, but I'm going to do my best because, again, I could not go live. I couldn't not go live today. I had to go live. Now, were the thoughts out there of, hey, Mike, just save it for tomorrow. Go live tomorrow. And, hey, there may be a possibility that if I lose electricity and I lose internet, that we may have to go live tomorrow to finish this show. And if that's the need be, then that's going to be the need be. But I try to make sure that a show is done for you guys in completion. So even if we get halfway through today, and I can't go live anymore today, I will go live tomorrow. And that is what going over to the X is for. Because of all the announcements that get made for the show over on the Huddle Hub Podcast X. So let's get into it. Let's start moving because we are battling against Mother Nature today. Let's get into the news around the world of football. It was announced that C.J. Mosley, the linebacker, after 10 seasons, has decided to retire. The 33-year-old linebacker announced it the other day that he was deciding to retire. Drafted, as I get all my stuff up here again, technical difficulties. Drafted back in 2014 to the Baltimore Ravens in the first round, 17th pick overall. Played for the Ravens from 2014 to 2018, then got sent out to New York to play for the Jets, where he finished off his career in 2024. Again, I'm having so many difficulties right now, and this stinks. All right, here we go. So he played in 133 total games, had 1,082 total tackles, 687 total solo tackles, 395 assisted tackles. He had 12 sacks on his career, and he had 12 interceptions for a total of 65 yards, 2 touchdown returns for C.J. Mosley. 33 years old, 10 seasons in the NFL, decided to retire. We wish C.J. Mosley the best in his retirement as he moves on from the NFL. The Bengals, they have some contract disputes. This is something that I was really looking forward to talking about today with their contract disputes. A lot has been going on with the Bengals lately, especially with Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson. Now, Trey Hendrickson has been with the Bengals for quite some time now. Shamar Stewart, he's a rookie, has not yet signed his rookie contract. Now, reason being is because the Bengals are trying to kind of hold off on guaranteed money for Shamar Stewart. Trey Hendrickson, he wants a bigger contract. He's seeing a lot of these guys getting bigger contracts out in the world of the NFL, out in Cleveland as of recent, and he wants a bigger contract. And just so, he was the season sack leader last year. He had, I believe it was 19 sacks on the year. Season sack leader in Cincinnati, to where they struggled so much on defense. So much. And was still able to lead the league in sacks. And the Bengals were like, no, we're not doing it. Okay? Shamar Stewart is guaranteed money in his rookie contract, and they are trying to hold off on that. Now, for Trey Hendrickson, if he holds out this year, he becomes a free agent next year, he could even get traded this year and end up on another team if Cincinnati does not come to an agreement with him. I could see him holding off, becoming a free agent next year, signing with somebody else. Do I think Cincinnati gets this deal done? I think it's far from it now because of what's been going on. I think the relationship between Trey Hendrickson and Cincinnati is gone. I don't think they have a healthy relationship. I think it's going to be a lot to build from if they decide, okay, what can we do to make this happen? They're going to have to build not only his trust, but the people that represent him's trust. And I mean his agent. Okay? And from the looks of it, from a lot of the interviews that I've been seeing and hearing as of late, that relationship is buried right now. It is not good. That is why I do not think Trey Hendrickson will be in a Bengals uniform this season or moving forward. Now, again, I could be wrong, but that relationship looks very, very depleted. Shamar Stewart, rookie, just drafted 2 months ago, hasn't signed his rookie deal yet, has not shown up to any of the practices yet. Why? Because of the wording in his contract. They are trying to hold off on his guaranteed money in his fifth-year option. And a lot of people are like, you're a rookie. Sign your contract. You just got drafted. You've done nothing in this league. But look what he's done to get to where he's at. In college, high school, pee-wee football. The dedication from this man, his whole life, to this game. He knows his worth. He knows what he is owed. He knows what he deserves to get paid. So yeah, he's going to hold out and wait to see if the Bengals, give him what he deserves. This man is a first-round pick, 17th overall. Okay? Now, yeah, it's the middle of the pack. So, as we know, the guaranteed money, it gets lower. But he still knows that he's deserved guaranteed money, which they're trying to hold out on. And he's owed other things in the contract. Now, when you look at this contract, okay, his salary cap charge in 2025 is $840,000. His payout is $840,000. His cash to cap ratio is 1.0. His contract value is $18,969,276 with $4,742 per year, right? Now, on this contract, it says zero guaranteed money. Zero guaranteed money. I have the contract right in front of me. Now, for all purposes, I'm not going to put it on the screen because I'm not trying to get in trouble. But I mean, this is public information. You can find this on the internet. Okay? But to protect the Huddle Hub podcast brand, and with us building the brand right now, I'm not going to put this on the screen. To prove, okay, I'll put it up on the screen, but for like 2 seconds. Just to prove to you guys I have this thing in front of me right now. Okay? There it is, right there. It's in front of me. This is public information. Go look it up. A rookie has guaranteed money in their contract. And they're trying to hold off on him right now. So what the Bengals, I think, need to do is restructure that contract, make sure he gets his guaranteed money so he can go on the field. Simple as that. Now, the question lies is, what if he doesn't sign? What if he does not sign, does not show up this year? Well, there is a new thing to where players that just get drafted can go in front of a judge with the NCAA and go back to college if he has years of eligibility. We've seen it with Shedeur Sanders. He had 2 years worth of eligibility left. So if Shedeur Sanders didn't get drafted, or if he declined to sign his contract with the Browns, he could have went in front of a judge and disputed whether he is able to go back to college or not. Shamar Stewart's in the same situation. They can now fight to go back to college if they have years of eligibility left. And then he can enter the 2026 NFL draft and get redrafted. Now, if I was Shamar Stewart, we are at the point to where everybody is going to start showing up to training camp in about 2 weeks. Okay? If you don't have your contract that you're looking for by training camp, I would start looking into going in front of that judge and getting ready to go back to college, because college football starts at the end of August. That's what I would do. Now, the training camp schedule, the Chargers and Lions face off in the Hall of Fame game on July 31st. Okay, they will be the first two teams to have rookie and veteran camps. The Chargers will report on July 16th. The Lions will report on the 19th. Okay, this is every team's report time or report date when it comes to training camp. Okay, the Arizona Cardinals, the rookies and veterans, will appear on the 22nd of July. The Falcons, rookies and veterans, on the 23rd. The Ravens, rookies on the 15th, veterans on the 22nd. The Bills, rookies on the 15th, veterans on the 22nd. The Panthers, rookies on the 21st, veterans on the 22nd. The Bears and the Bengals, rookies appear on the 19th, the veterans on the 22nd. The Browns, rookies on the 18th, veterans on the 22nd. The Cowboys, the 21st for both. The Broncos, the 16th for rookies, 22nd for veterans. The Lions, like I just said, July 16th for the rookies, veterans on the 19th. The Packers, 18th for the rookies, 22nd for the veterans. The Texans, the 22nd for both. The Colts, 21st for rookies, 22nd for veterans. The Jaguars, 19th for rookies, 22nd for veterans. I can run down every team's appearance, when they're supposed to appear, everything like that. But if you go to NFL.com/news/NFL training camp, or if you Google NFL training camp schedule, you can see the whole thing right there. The whole list of the schedule on when rookies appear and when veterans appear. Most of the teams have veterans appearing between the 21st and 23rd, and then the rookies are going to be appearing between the 16th and the 21st or 22nd. But the focus here is the Bengals. The 19th is when rookies appear. Shamar Stewart is a rookie. That is when he is to appear. If he does not have a contract in front of him, I would really look into going back and getting ready to go back and get that eligibility for college. That's what I would do. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. We'll have to see what happens out in Cincinnati with Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart moving forward as we approach training camp. But let's move forward here. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback of the Browns, he was pulled over by local PD for speeding last week. Okay, now I have a lot to say about this, but as we are fighting the elements today, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. You are a rookie in the NFL. You just got drafted. Who gives a flying crap where you got drafted, sir? You are on an NFL team. There is a man who just got out of jail who was in a lot of trouble because he was speeding and wants to come back in the league. Now, whether he's accepted back in the league, I'm talking about Henry Ruggs. Okay. He's asking to come back to football. And I made my big statement the other week on this. No. This was a very fatal accident that you caused. And yes, you did your time. You're out of prison. No. That's that. Shedeur Sanders, learn from this. Learn from this. Bottom line. There's no reason to speed. No reason to get yourself in trouble and put yourself in a situation that could be far worse than a speeding ticket. I hope you learned your lesson on this one. Bottom line. Bottom line. Now, there was a joke meme out there the other day that said Shedeur Sanders got pulled over by PD for going 101 in a 55 or whatever. And then at the end of the joke, it said 2 months ago, he got caught at 144 when he was expected to be going 25 or whatever. It was a draft joke. Was it funny? Kinda. But not really. Not really. Just saying. Shedeur Sanders, I hope you learned your lesson from this. That's all. You're a young kid. You're in the NFL. Who cares where you got drafted? Look at Brady. Look at Brock Purdy. Who cares where you got drafted? Go do the work. Keep yourself out of trouble. Bottom line. Jair Alexander, cornerback from the Packers. We all know he became a free agent, signed a one-year deal worth $4 million with the Ravens. That could become $6 million. And that is if the incentive is if he plays all 17 games. So basically what needs to happen, say we get to week 18 and the Ravens are in the playoffs, already clinched, and the starters are going to be sitting. Jair Alexander must dress and go in for at least one play to complete the 17-game play. He needs to play in all 17 games in order to earn that $2 million bonus of incentives. That's it. I think that's a pretty decent incentive. Is it an easy one? No, because we know players get hurt all the time. But Jair Alexander is a pretty big deal as a cornerback. Is he getting up there? Yeah, kind of. So could we see a different way Jair Alexander plays his game this year with that incentive? I think so. I think we're going to see a different Jair Alexander. Now, looking at Jair Alexander, drafted back in 2018, 28 years old, like I said, getting up there. Played for the Packers from 2018 to 2023, or 2024, 287 combined tackles, 46 assisted. So 287 minus 46, that's 241 tackles on his own, 1.5 sacks in his career, 12 interceptions, returned for 201 total yards and 1 touchdown in his career. Okay, pretty good stats. Pretty big deal out in Green Bay. Now you're in Baltimore, and defensive backfield in Baltimore is pretty attractive. Jair Alexander, Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, Chidobe Awuzie, Kyle Hamilton, and Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks being the rookie. Pretty attractive defensive backfield, right? But Jair Alexander, to get $2 million in the incentive, needs to stay healthy, get on the field, play every game. Even if it's one play, he's in, that's it. Gets the incentive for playing every game. I think we see a different way Jair Alexander plays his game this year. Why? To earn that incentive. He's 28 years old. Some 28-year-old players are getting big contracts nowadays. And he's a pretty big deal as far as the position. So he's probably wondering, like, yeah, okay, I got a $4 million contract. Probably should be making a little more money. So to get that extra $2 million, I need to stay healthy and be on that field every game for at least one play. I see him playing a totally different ball game this year, and it's going to affect that Baltimore defensive backfield. I do. I think so. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But that's my opinion. Speaking of the Ravens, though, Derrick Henry, running back of the Ravens, as we know, got his extension the other week. He said in an interview that his favorite actor is Adam Sandler. And he asked for Adam Sandler to give him a phone call. He'd like to be in one of his movies. So Adam Sandler did respond by saying that if you rush for 2,000 yards, I will not only give you a part in one of my movies, but we will also go out and have a nice dinner. Derrick Henry, pretty good incentive there. Pretty good. Now, Derrick Henry is a favorite running back of many people. He's on my list. He's on my list of favorite running backs. So do you kind of hope he does it? Yeah, you know, see Derrick Henry in an Adam Sandler movie. How cool would that be? It would be pretty cool. So hopefully he does it. Fingers crossed for him. Hopefully he gets that incentive and gets to be in an Adam Sandler movie. I think Adam Sandler is going to do it regardless. I think he's going to give him a part. I think he's also going to take him out to dinner, whether he rushes for 2,000 yards or 200 yards. I don't think it matters. He likes Derrick Henry. They seem to hit it off in the phone call and or on the video. He seems like he's a fan. So whether it's 200 yards or 2,000 yards, I see Derrick Henry getting his dinner and a part in a movie. Bottom line. Just saying. The DC Defenders won the UFL championship. As you know, we cover the UFL here on the Huddle podcast. We haven't covered it too much with everything going on here as of late. But the DC Defenders did win the UFL championship last week. Congratulations to them. The UFL Season 3 is already being promoted, and that there are going to be expansions. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the UFL news. We're going to save that. Why? Because my co-host Johnny H has informed me that he will be making his triumphant return here on the Huddle podcast on July 13th. So, with that being said, we are going to save the UFL news for when Johnny H comes back. That's all I got in the news for you guys. Like I said, we're going to try and get through things a little fast here today because of the inclement weather. So far, so good. My internet ping is still kind of but I'm keeping an eye on my phone here as I have the show up on my phone, kind of making sure you guys still have a clear connection through me, because I don't know what's going on with this pit. Like, the ping is there, but I don't know what you guys are seeing. In order for me to keep track of that, I have it on my phone, so I can keep an eye on how good the connection is for you guys. We're going to take a 30 to 45 second break right now. Make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Up Podcast socials, hitting that follow button, subscribing. Right now is your chance to do it as we take this 45-second break. So please make sure you're heading over to all the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias, X and TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod, hitting that follow button and hitting the subscribe button over on the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. Subscribing over on YouTube means you're just following. You don't have to pay anything, no money coming out of pocket. Just make sure you're hitting that follow button over on X, TikTok, and the subscribe button over on the YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. Make sure you're hitting the follow button here on the Twitch channel. All the links are below. So when you go to the profile on the Twitch channel, all the links are below for all the social medias for you guys to go over. Hit that follow button. It will take you right to all the social medias. Our next subject to talk about is the Madden cover curse. Now, this is something that a lot of people believe. Some people don't believe it. Some people are kind of skeptical about it. And, I did my research on this thing. And when it comes to pertaining running backs on the cover and offensive player of the year being on the cover. Okay, so, Saquon Barkley won offensive player of the year last year for him rushing for the yards that he did, over 2,000 rushing yards last year, became offensive player of the year. He was pretty much a runner-up for league MVP. But he is also now the 6th running back ever to grace the cover of the Madden cover, the Madden video game, right? Well, there's some statistics about this that there's not really a lot of luck coming from being a running back and getting on the Madden cover following a very good season, right? So let's go over some of this stuff. Saquon Barkley is going to be gracing us with his presence on the Madden cover this year, with being the 6th running back ever to grace the cover, and he won Offensive Player of the Year in 2024. These are the other running backs that were on the cover of Madden following a very historic season, and this is the issues that they faced following being on the cover. Christian McCaffrey of the 49ers, right? He was on the cover in 2023 or in 2024, I believe. I'm sorry. He was on the cover in 2024 on one of the covers. Okay. There was a couple covers. There was a Josh Allen cover. There was a Christian McCaffrey cover. Well, he only played in 4 games in 2024 after having a spectacular season in 2023. Okay. Now in 2024, he only played in 4 games. He missed 13. That's how many games he missed due to injury. Now, as I wrote these statistics down, I kind of realized that I had him written down in 2 different statistics. So, as the offensive player of the year, he missed 13 games. He only played in 4 in 2024, being a running back on the cover. All right. In 2023, Justin Jefferson of the Vikings, he missed 7 games after winning Offensive Player of the Year in 2022. Cooper Kupp of the Rams was Offensive Player of the Year in 2021, graced us with the cover in 2022, and missed 8 games after being Player of the Year. Derrick Henry was Player of the Year in 2020. Okay, running back, he was with the Titans, now with the Ravens. He missed 9 games in 2021 after gracing the cover in 2021. And then Michael Thomas was Offensive Player of the Year. So this is after, Michael Thomas from the Saints missed 9 games after being Player of the Year in 2019. So as far as Offensive Player of the Year, Christian McCaffrey missed 13 games in 2024. Justin Jefferson missed 7 games in 2023. Cooper Kupp missed 8 games in 2022. Derrick Henry missed 9 games in 2021. And Michael Thomas missed 9 games in 2020 after being Offensive Player of the Year the previous season. Okay? Now, when it comes to running backs being on the cover, Christian McCaffrey from the 49ers only played in 4 games in 2024. After gracing the cover. Okay. Peyton Hillis from the Browns. After gracing the cover, only ran for 1,258 yards the rest of his career. Crazy stat. Sean Alexander, running back of the Seahawks, after gracing the cover, only scored 11 touchdowns the rest of his career. Crazy. Because Sean Alexander, after gracing the cover of Madden, still had a pretty decent career afterwards. But only 11 touchdowns? That's crazy. Marshall Faulk from the Rams. He had 0 seasons over 1,000 yards after gracing the cover of Madden. That's insane. And Marshall Faulk played a couple years after being on the cover of Madden back in 2001. That's nuts. And then Eddie George, running back of the Titans. He only carried the ball for 3.2 yards per carry for the rest of his career after being on the cover of Madden. So for running backs on the cover of Madden, again, Christian McCaffrey, after being on the cover, played in 4 games in 2024. Peyton Hillis of the Browns, 1,258 yards for the rest of his career. Sean Alexander only scored 11 touchdowns for the rest of his career. Marshall Faulk, 0 seasons over 1,000 yards after being on the cover. And Eddie George, 3.2 yards per carry after being on the cover. That's insane. Insane. Now, I don't know if you guys believe the Madden cover curse. I mean, it was broken a few years back because I forget who it was that graced us with the cover, but didn't get it. Oh, I believe it was Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes graced the cover and didn't miss a beat. Curse broken. He graced it twice. Played. Tom Brady played. Graced the cover with Patrick Mahomes. So the curse, I don't think it's there. And I do not think that Saquon Barkley has anything to worry about. Eagles fans, we don't have anything to worry about. I think we're good as far as this Madden cover curse. As you guys know, every season there are revenge games. Okay, now what we mean by revenge games is a player, plays for a team, they end up leaving, going to another team, and then they end up playing each other, right? Well, there's a couple revenge games, notable revenge games that are going to be happening this season. Some of these I look as questionable as revenge games, and some of them I'm kind of like, okay, this makes sense. I'll point out the ones that make sense. I'm going to point out the ones that don't make freaking sense at all. Just saying. The first one that we're going to talk about in week 1, the Jets take on the Steelers. Now, Justin Fields, former Steelers quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, former Jets quarterback, now with the Steelers. Justin Fields started the first 4 or 5 games, got benched. Russ Wilson took over. Aaron Rodgers got injured his first year in New York. Second year, had a pretty good season in the back half, but had a rough start in the beginning. Revenge game? Maybe. This one's on my maybe list. Okay. In week 2, the Steelers take on the Seahawks. DK Metcalf, former Seahawk, taking on his old team as a Steeler. I could call that a viable revenge game. I could. It's going to all depend on what DK Metcalf does in the game against the Steelers and whether he gets revenge or not. The other revenge game that's being noted in week 2 is the Bears taking on the Lions. Ben Johnson, former offensive coordinator of the Lions, he is now the head coach out in Chicago. Revenge game? Yeah. Even though he's a coach, doesn't matter. It's a revenge game. He's coaching against his old team. He is now in control of the full team, opposed to just being in control of the offense or the defense. So would I look at that as a possible revenge game? Yes, I could look at that. In week 3, the Texans take on the Jaguars. Now, former wide receiver of the Jaguars, Christian Kirk, is now with the Texans. And, the Texans don't really have a full-on legit number one. They have Mechie. They have a list of wide receivers that could be a possible number one. So could Christian Kirk become the number one out in Houston and be the guy out there? Yeah, he can. He has the capabilities. It's going to determine whether it's a revenge game or not. Now, Christian Kirk was the number one, considered the number one out in Jacksonville, or a close number one. So could this be a revenge game? I'll say yes. I'll put that on the yes category. The other game in week 3 is the Buccaneers taking on the Jets. Todd Bowles was a former coach out in Tampa Bay. He's now the coach out in New York for the Jets. So, possible revenge game? Yeah, I'll say yes to that. Week 4, the Dolphins taking on the Jets. Zach Wilson is a quarterback on the Dolphins roster. Is he the starter? No. Tua Tagovailoa is the starter out in New York, or out in Miami. Okay. Now, Zach Wilson, he was the starter out in New York, got benched. Aaron Rodgers went down, went back out. He had a mid-season with the Aaron Rodgers injury. He went out there and made things happen, or tried to make things happen. Would I call this a revenge game? No. Zach Wilson's the backup quarterback, possibly even the third stringer out in Miami. I wouldn't call this a revenge game. I wouldn't. Let's see if we have anything, because I'm trying to go in order here. The way I have it written down is the way it featured for me. So it's like week 1, week 8, week 2, week 7, 11, 13, 14. I'm trying to do this in order here. But as the time goes on and this storm is getting heavier, I think I might just whiz through these things and give you guys the week. Week 8, Packers against the Steelers. Aaron Rodgers facing his old team in Green Bay. Revenge game. I'll put that as a maybe. And it's a Sunday Night Football feature. So, big stage. The only game that's on. I'll put that under a possibility. In week 7, the Giants take on the Broncos. Russell Wilson, former quarterback of Denver, now the quarterback out in New York. Okay? Revenge game, maybe. Because his stint out in Denver wasn't as memorable. He had a pretty good season in year 2. He bumped his statistics up a little bit. So I'll put this under the maybe category. Week 11, the Seahawks take on the Rams. Now, the Seahawks and Rams play each other twice a year. Now, week 11 is being the more notable one because it's in Los Angeles, and Cooper Kupp used to play in Los Angeles. Is Cooper Kupp the number one out in Seattle? Probably not. Probably not. It all depends. It all depends on, Sam Darnold's comfortability, who he's going to relate with more on the field. It all depends if Cooper Kupp's going to be the number one or not. We'll put this under the maybe category of a revenge game. The Seahawks, Sam Darnold taking on the Vikings in week 13. Sam Darnold last year had a great season out in Minnesota. Wilson might not even be starting by then. Wilson's not starting at all. Tua Tagovailoa is the starter. Adam Banks, I appreciate you being here, by the way. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here and checking out the show. As I said at the beginning of the show, I'm battling Mother Nature right now with electricity, internet, and everything right now. So if we cut out and I end up not being able to go live later to finish the show, I will be live tomorrow. Oh, for the Giants. Okay. I think he's going to be the starter. I think Russell Wilson is going to be the starter. He is being named the starter all over the place. You know, any media outlet is saying that he's the starter. So I think Russell Wilson is the starter. I think they're trying to figure out who's going to back him up. Is it going to be Winston? You know, they're trying to figure out who's going to be the backup. Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, who's going to be the backup? I think Russell Wilson is the starter. He's their veteran. He's the guy that's been, you know, in the league the longest. They're giving him that opportunity. I mean, go Pittsburgh. You know, Justin Fields started the first 4 or 5 games last year, and then Russell Wilson gets healthy. Okay, go in. And Justin Fields didn't have a bad start. Justin Fields was keeping the Steelers afloat. He was doing pretty good. Not too bad. Had a rough start as far as touchdown passes, but he was kind of keeping the Steelers afloat there. And then Russell Wilson gets healthy and Russ goes in. You know, so Russ is going to be the starter out in New York. He's already being deemed the starter. It's all about Winston or Dart. Who's going to be the number 2? Who's going to be the number 3? And right now, it seems like Jackson Dart's going to be the number 2. Because Jackson Dart has been impressing a lot of people in camp. A lot of people. So, but Sam Darnold, Seahawks quarterback right now, taking on the Vikings. Last year, Sam Darnold had a great season out in Minnesota. He kind of revigorated himself, got himself to where he was supposed to be 5 years prior out in New York and Carolina. Sam Darnold, I'll say this. The Seahawks committed a lot of money to Sam Darnold. A lot of money. And when you look at his contract, you probably think, it's not a lot of money. He had one good full year in Minnesota with arguably one of the best wide receivers, if not the best wide receiver in football, in Justin Jefferson. Okay? Go to New York, go to Carolina. Tell me who he had. Opposed to Garrett Wilson, tell me who he had. I don't even think he had Garrett Wilson. No, I don't think he had Garrett Wilson, even on his receiving core. Because Garrett Wilson hasn't been there long. But even if he did, what did he do? He didn't play one full season. First full season, he goes out, has a great season, but he had Justin Jefferson. He had a running back. He had an offensive line. He had everything in Minnesota. So Seattle, I would have been a little questionable. Number 1 on the length of the contract and number 2 on the price of the contract. I would have decided, you know what, 1 year, maybe $10 million. Let's see what you do this year, and we'll think about, moving forward with the contract. But that's just me. That's just me. We'll have to see what he does out in Seattle and see if this is even a revenge factor game. I'll put it down as one because he had a hell of a year out in Minnesota, and it's in Minnesota. But we'll have to see come week 13. Week 3, I already said that one. Week 6, the Browns take on the Steelers. Now, this one's being notable because it's out in Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is on the Browns roster. He used to be the starter out in Pittsburgh. Would I call this a revenge game? As of right now, no. Because Kenny Pickett may not be the starter out in Cleveland. Right now, it looks like Joe Flacco is the starter. It's being said that Joe Flacco is the guy that's going to start week 1. And Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, and Kenny Pickett are battling for the number 2 and number 3. Do any of these guys get cut from the roster? That's the question. Shedeur Sanders signed his rookie contract. Dylan Gabriel, I believe, signed his rookie contract. Kenny Pickett, he's on a 1-year deal out in Cleveland. So could we even see Kenny Pickett on this roster come week 6? Who knows? Kenny Pickett may be elsewhere. Hell, he might even be back in Philly. That's a possibility. So Kenny Pickett right now, that's up in the air with this week 6 revenge game. I don't know. I'm putting that as a no. Week 12, the Titans take on the Seahawks. Tyler Lockett is now a Titan. Used to play out in Seattle. Was the number 1 receiver out in Seattle. Would I call this a revenge game? Yeah. Tyler Lockett can be a viable number 1. Maybe even, and if he's not a viable number one, definitely number two. But Tyler Lockett spent a lot of time out in Seattle. Is this a revenge game? Yeah, it is. Week 10, the Chargers take on the Steelers. This is out in Pittsburgh. Najee Harris, Pittsburgh running back up until now. The Chargers, though, I mean, they have two running backs that are going to be flip-flopping carries. That's that. So, the Chargers, is Najee Harris going to get most of the carries? Probably. So would I call this a revenge game? Yeah. I'll call this one a revenge game. Week 7, the Patriots take on the Titans. Mike Vrabel, head coach out in New England now, used to be the head coach out in Tennessee. Would I call this a revenge game? Yes. The Cowboys take on the Bears in week 3 out in Chicago. Matt Eberflus used to be the head coach out in Chicago. Now he's the defensive coordinator out in Dallas. Revenge game? Maybe. And then also in week 3, the Bears take on the Saints out in New Orleans. Dennis Allen is a coach out in Chicago now. Used to be the coach out in New Orleans. Revenge game? Maybe. But those are the notable revenge games in 2025. Well, they're being deemed revenge games in 2025. We'll have to see if they actually become revenge games in 2025. So, before we get into the last segment of the show, we've made it, which is great. We're going into the last segment of the show. We're going to take a 30-second break. I want you guys to head over to the Huddle Hub Podcast social medias on X and TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod, YouTube at the Huddle Hub Pod. You're going to hit the subscribe button over on the YouTube. All the links are below in the profile here on Twitch. As you hit the follow button on Twitch, it would definitely be appreciated. All the links are below for all the other socials. We're going to take a 30-second break here on the Huddle Hub Podcast. So please make sure you're heading over to the Huddle Podcast social medias. The links, like I said, the links are below here on the Twitch channel's profile. TikTok and X at the Huddle Hub Pod, hitting that follow button, and on the YouTube, hitting that subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. You don't have to pay anything. I know a lot of people think subscription, I got to pay something. No, you don't have to pay anything. You just hit that subscribe button and you're following us over on YouTube. That's it. That's how you do it. So YouTube, subscribe, TikTok, X, follow. Links are below here on the profile of Twitch. Make sure you're hitting the follow button on the Twitch channel as well. Definitely appreciate it as we build the Huddle Hub Podcast here in the 2025 season, getting ready for the NFL 2025 season. I usually do better on that read. It's so crappy on that read. That was terrible. But let's get into the last segment of the day, okay? So as we know, Thursday Night Football happens over on Prime. And they put a question out on X that kind of intrigued me, okay? Now, the actual question, this was the actual question as I pull it up here on my mobile device, okay? So the actual question is you would have to pick one quarterback for the next 5 years, okay? When I looked at this, I was like, if I'm picking a quarterback, what do you got to do with this quarterback? You got to build around them, right? So I'm going to amp up this question a little bit, and I'm going to build around this quarterback that I pick, okay? I'm going to give my reason why I'm building around this quarterback. And I have them rated too. I didn't just pick one quarterback. I have how I rated these 4 quarterbacks in the order that I would pick and build around, okay? Now, remember, you guys know I'm an Eagles fan. Is Jalen Hurts on this list? Yes. Is Jalen Hurts my number one? Yes, I have my reason. It's not because I'm an Eagles fan. If you've watched the Huddle Hub podcast in the past, I'm very unbiased on this show. Do I praise the Giants and the Commanders and the Cowboys on the show? Yes, I have in the past. I have. Because I got to be unbiased. I'm a podcaster. If I was going to sit here and be biased, then this show wouldn't be called the Huddle Hub podcast. This show would be called, the Eagles Forum as a fan, something. This is the Huddle Hub podcast. I'm going to talk positive and or negative about every team in the NFL and beyond. That's that. But Jalen Hurts is my number one on this list. Okay? I'm just going to forewarn you guys right now because you all know I'm an Eagles fan. That's that. And I have my reasons. Whether you guys agree with me or not, that's your decision. And I respect your decision. I respect your opinion. If you know from all my other shows, The Table Spot, The Boom, well, I'm the co-host and producer on The Boom. Cam is the host of The Boom. But I give my honest opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion when it comes to everything. Why? Because it's your opinion. It's what you believe. And I'm not going to take away your opinion and what you believe. Okay? Just to make that very clear right now. But the NFL, as we know, is on Prime Video on Thursday Night Football, and they asked on X for these 4 quarterbacks, which one would you pick? I took it as which one would you build around for the next 5 seasons? Jalen Hurts from the Eagles, Justin Herbert from the Chargers, Jordan Love from the Packers, Tua Tagovailoa from the Dolphins. Those are our 4 quarterbacks that they gave us options. Okay? My number 1 is Jalen Hurts. Okay? Jalen Hurts, the reason why I would build around Jalen Hurts first, number 1, is because now if I was working in the Eagles organization, and let's say Howie Roseman was still, let's just say all of the GMs were the GMs, okay? But they brought me in to build around specifically the quarterback. So let's say I was in charge of building around this quarterback, but I had to build around them by what the GM is saying. Like say the GM says, hey, this is your budget. This is what you got to go with when it comes to building with and everything like that. They give me the tools to build the team. Howie Roseman has proven in the past that he can make any deal work out and look good without getting into cap trouble. Currently, the Eagles are set up for success for at least the next 3 or 4 years. Okay? A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, so on and so forth. Offensive lineman, defense. Eagles are set up for success for at least the next 3 seasons. All due to the wine and dine of Harry Roseman. Okay? Carson Wentz, for example, gets a big contract that following draft in 2020. Jalen Hurts gets drafted. Jalen Hurts becomes the guy by the end of the season. He took Carson Wentz, flipped that deal with Indianapolis. Okay, got a 1st and 3rd round pick. Who did we get from that? Look at who we got from that. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Nakobe Dean. Insane. This team is built for success for at least the next 3 seasons because you go look at the contract lengths. Saquon Barkley just got extended. He's going to be there through 2030. Okay? Howie Roseman would be giving me the tools to build this team. And not only that, with the way he does things, be able to build for success with Jalen Hurts. Now, when you look at Jalen Hurts' statistics since getting drafted in 2020, he has thrown the ball 1,939 times, has completed 1,248 of those passes. That's a 64.4 completion percentage, 14,667 yards, 85 touchdowns, 39 interceptions on this career. He ran the ball 674 times, 3,133 yards rushing, and has 55 touchdowns on the ground. His accomplishments as far as being in the NFL so far: Super Bowl 59 champion and MVP. He won the MVP award in Super Bowl 59, defeating the Kansas City Chiefs. He was also a Pro Bowler in 2022 and 2023. He has the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. He is tied for most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in a season with 15. He has the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in the playoffs, in a playoff game, with three rushing touchdowns in a playoff game. And he has the most rushing yards in a Super Bowl by a quarterback with 72. Okay? Hell of a lot of accomplishments there for Jalen Hurts. So why would I not want to build my team around Jalen Hurts? He'd be my first pick out of these four quarterbacks. The accomplishments, statistics, the work ethic, not taking away the work ethic of the other quarterbacks. But Jalen Hurts literally won the Super Bowl. And basically the first words that it came out of his mouth was, let's go get another one. Let's go get another one. We're not done. It wasn't, I'm happy. This is great. Awesome. We can relax now. No, he's ready to go to work. He's ready to bring the city of Philadelphia and the fans a third Super Bowl in this decade. From 2017 to now. He has that drive. And again, not saying the other quarterbacks don't have that drive. But when you look at the accomplishments, the statistics, everything, he'd be my number one. Even if I was not an Eagles fan, he'd be my number one. Okay? My number two would be Jordan Love from the Packers. Okay? Now, I'll say this. When the Packers looked at Jordan Love, it's almost like they looked at him and said, we're going to have success with this guy. When a lot of people were doubting him, a lot of people were saying, oh, the Packers aren't going to win many games. They're not even going to make the playoffs. Jordan Love is a rookie, hasn't seen much playing time, took over out of any. I mean, the Packers have a history of doing this, though, when you look at it. Okay? Ever since Favre. Favre was the starter for many years. Aaron Rodgers gets drafted in 2005, sits behind Favre for about 4 or 5 seasons, comes in. He goes 6-10 in his first year. Year 2 makes the playoffs. Year 3, he's hoisting the Lombardi. Not only that, he's a 3-time league MVP. Now, yeah, he hasn't won a Super Bowl since then, but he's come pretty damn close. And it all started with his career out in Green Bay because he hasn't done much in New York and he just started in Pittsburgh. So everything is pretty much riding on what he did in Green Bay. Green Bay has shown that their quarterbacks can have success. And Jordan Love is an olive branch of that tree. So Jordan Love would be my second pick on this list. Now, when you look at Jordan Love's statistics, drafted back in 2021, 690, he threw the ball 1,087 times. He completed 690 of those passes. Okay. 8,154 yards. Now think, Jordan Love has only been a starter for 2 seasons? And he has over 8,000 passing yards already. And he's made the playoffs twice. Okay? Twice. So Jordan Love knows playoff football. That's that. Okay? So it's almost like, going into a season, the Packers are expected to make the playoffs, whether they're going to win the NFC North and have a home game, possibly even home field advantage if they do good enough, or they're going to be a 5, 6, or 7 seed. Okay? So the Packers are pretty much already expected to make the playoffs from the start. But 8,154 passing yards. You cut that in half, that's 4,000 passing yards a season. Okay? But people do talk that Jordan Love isn't that good. On this list, he'd be my number 2. Just saying. And he is my number 2 on this list. 60 touchdowns, 25 interceptions, 63.5 completion percentage. It's not bad. Rushing the ball, 88 carries, 356 yards, 5 touchdowns. The guy knows how to stay in the pocket, and he knows how to look for his guys that go out and actually are supposed to be catching passes. He doesn't try and he'll put the game in his hands, but he also likes to share the ball. He doesn't try to say, you know what, I'm just going to do it my damn self. No, that's not him. Jordan Love's my number 2 on this list. My number 3 is Justin Herbert. Okay. Now, Justin Herbert was drafted back in 2020. Been the starter for the Chargers since. Has quite the rough go. The notable rough go was that playoff game against Jacksonville a few years ago. Right? You remember that? Jacksonville's down by 30-some points to the Chargers at halftime. Jaguars come back, win the game. That's rough. It's been rough. But can you throw all that on Justin Herbert? No. But he's your quarterback. He is supposed to keep his foot on the gas pedal, controlling the offense, trying to kill clock when you have a lead, especially like that. What was it, 37 points at halftime lead? And you lost it? And everybody would blame the head coach. You can't just blame the head coach because the head coach calls the plays. Yeah, he controls what the guys are supposed to be doing on the field, but he can't control the guys on how they play. He could just say, hey, I need you to go out there and run a Z flat 27 wobble with this, and this on it. This is the play we're doing. Now, you guys got to go out and make it happen because I can't make your feet run. I can't make your hands catch the ball. You got to do that. You're in control of that. But when you look at Justin Herbert's statistics, not bad at all. Threw the ball 2,926 times, completed 1,945 of those passes, 21,093 yards. Just think of that. He's going into his 5th season, and he has over 21,000 passing yards. 137 touchdowns, 45 interceptions, 66.5 completion percentage. Good stats. Good stats from Justin Herbert. Ran the ball 293 times, 1,217 yards, 13 touchdowns on his career. So he's not afraid to run the ball. Not afraid. Now, some of his credentials, some of his accomplishments so far in the league, he was Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2020, Pro Bowler in 2021. He has the most passing touchdowns by a rookie with 31 and most completions by a rookie with 396. Not too bad, not too shabby. And now he's got quite a good-looking team around him right now. So I'd say the Chargers are a favorite to go out and win the AFC West, make the playoffs, maybe even a trip to the Super Bowl. Who knows? And Justin Herbert could be the guy to do it. Now, the last guy on the list is Tua Tagovailoa. All right? He's my last. Drafted in 2020. We all know the problems that Tua Tagovailoa has been having with the injuries and the concussions and all that stuff. We all know about this. You gave me 4 quarterbacks to pick, and he ended up being number 4 on the list without hesitation. Why? Because being asked, what are you going to do to protect yourself to further your injuries? Oh, I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just going to go out and play. Bro. The most important part on your body is up here. You got to protect this. This is your lifeline. You've been having some problems. Why are you not trying to do anything to protect it? But then Prime wants to put him on this list of quarterbacks that I would pick to build around for the next 5 seasons. Are you freaking kidding me? And Miami, the team that pays him, that signs his contract and checks, pretty much doesn't force him to do these things. That is your asset. This is the money you are spending. This is money that you could be spending elsewhere. Control your asset. Protect your asset at all costs. I'm not going to do nothing. The team isn't going to do anything. We're just going to go out and play and hope that I don't get excuse my language, knocked the fuck out. 2,037 passes, 1,387 of those completed, 68.1 completion percentage. Okay. That is a great statistic for a guy who, 15,506 passing yards, 100 touchdowns, 44 interceptions. Good statistics for a guy who has been facing a lot of injury issues. Still ended up on this list, and I'm wondering why. So, Prime, if you're watching this, please tell me why the hell he ended up on this list. Please. Rushing the ball, 154 carries, 430 yards, 6 touchdowns. Okay, so he tries to pass. Tries to pass the ball more than he runs. But when he runs, we all see what happens. He gets obliterated. Because he doesn't try and protect himself. Bro, slide. It's not fucking hard. Slide. That's all I'm saying. He did get to the Pro Bowl in 2023. He was the pass rate leader in 2022, passing yards leader in 2023, completion percentage leader in 2024. That's obvious. 68.1. That's obvious. And he is the Polynesian Pro Football Player of the Year in 2022 and 2023. Okay. So some really good credentials, some really great accomplishments by a player that is not going to protect himself in 2025. If I was a Dolphins fan, I'd be a little freaking worried. I would be worried, and I would be telling the coach, you have a backup quarterback in Zach Wilson who faced a lot of worse things than this. Maybe start thinking about maybe starting Zach Wilson. Maybe. But that answers who I would pick and in what order I would build my team around for the next 5 years with quarterbacks. Thank you, Prime. And I hope you put up more questions like this because this was a fun segment to do. I loved doing this research, and it was fun to do. It was. So, guys, before we close things out here, I want to ask you guys one more time. All the links are below here on the Twitch. Make sure you're hitting the follow button. X and TikTok at the Huddle Hub Pod, hitting that follow button, and on YouTube, hitting the subscribe button. That's how you follow on YouTube. You don't have to pay anything. You just hit the subscribe button, and you are following the Huddle Hub Podcast. You can check out all past episodes of the Huddle Hub Podcast over on the YouTube. You will catch clips of the Huddle Hub Podcast over on TikTok, YouTube, and X. And we are live here every Sunday morning, normally at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But because of the inclement weather today, had to go live a little late. Okay. We made it to the end of the show, guys. I'm glad we did. Because it's storming like crazy out there. You guys can't hear it, but it's storming. If you want to follow me, Instagram, X, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch, Metal Mike 714 is where you can find me. Okay? So go over, hit the follow button. It would definitely appreciate it. I make announcements for shows, not only for the Huddle Up Podcast, but for my show on Monday night, the Raw Watch Along at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, followed by the Table Spot with my co-host Cam right after the show as we talk about the show over on Rivet City Radio's Twitch and on the Off the Top Media YouTube channel. And then every Wednesday night, I'm the co-host and producer of The Boom with Cam as the host and Phil Emmett as our co-host right after AEW Dynamite as we talk about the show after the show. So you can head over to Rivet City Radio and Off the Top Media's Twitch and YouTube channels. Hit that follow button as I go live every Monday night starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then every Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite. But I'm live here on the Huddle Hub Podcast every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless something comes up to where I have to go live later. That is what following the X is for, because announcements for shows like today. Hey, I made the announcement on the post. I'll be going live around 2 p.m. because of weather. I apologize for the late start, but we got through it. I want to appreciate everybody who stopped out and checked out the live. If you're not checking out the live, thank you for checking out this replay. As I always say, be good to each other, be kind to each other, take care of each other, be patient with each other. Remember, the world is not moving as fast as you think. Until next time, guys, have a great Sunday afternoon. Thank you for checking out the Huddle Podcast. I'm out. Deuces.